What's going on, guys? It's the DJ coming at you with another video. Today's video is gonna be a video that's outside what I usually do as far as gaming. Call of Duty is a game that I've started playing on PC as of late. I've been playing on there for about a month or so, and I kind of like the way it's set up. So now I'm gonna talk to you guys through how you should set your settings up and the best settings that I've seen for myself, and then maybe it'll help you guys out a little bit. I guess the first thing to do is just to go down to options, and when you look at your options, the keyboard and mouse settings, that's like a preference thing. Me, I play with controller. A lot of the times I'm playing with a PS5 controller. Now I was playing with an Xbox, I think 360 controller that was corded. I feel better playing with the PS4 or PS5 controller. I would be playing with a PS4 controller, but I think it kind of had issues with connectivity, but that's another video. We'll probably get into it talking about those issues. But PS5 controller is what I play with. I know some people who play with keyboard and mouse. I'm not one of those guys, but like when I come in here, I just go and then I kind of look at the settings in terms of like your graphics and stuff. We're not really concerned about whatever control setting you're playing with. So for me, I play with a borderless screen. And then obviously this is my kind of my graphics card, and then my monitor that I'm playing on, refresh rate 60 frames per second. I'm playing at 1080. These are 4K monitors, but I just play at 1080p because I'm not really trying to disrupt anything. I don't want to mess around with the settings too much. Brightness on 50, kind of 2.2 on RGB, and then for the most part it's more about kind of the quality of your stream. So when you look at your stream quality, mine is set to normal. You can have it set to lower or normal. Like for me, I'm like I guess I would say that's probably about 65-70% are bar full to be into the max, so it doesn't really hurt me that much. I could turn my texture resolution up more so I could see things, but I mean it's a preference thing, and it's also a quality thing in terms of how strong your card and computer is. So I just play with it on low because I can see what I need to see. And same thing for the textured what is it, tropic. It doesn't really change the I guess the VRAM usage that much, so I just have it on high. Particle quality, same thing, doesn't change it that much, so I have it on high. You can have it on low if you want. Bullet impacts doesn't change it that much, so I have it on high. I turn off the tessellation, which is the amount of geometry that you see and subdividings, and like just kind of basically overall quality and textures that you see and the graphics that you see in your surroundings. Like if you see like a pile of rubble and all that stuff, I disabled it. I mean, it's personal preference. Like the gore effect, I think that's like if someone's leg gets blown off or something, doesn't really affect the graphics or VRAM as much, so it's not really something that I'm too worried about. I keep it on. And then on-demand texture streaming, I disable that. What is the filmic strength? I turn it up to 1. I kind of like that look, film grain. I don't really mess around with that too much. I don't like when things start looking grainy, so I turn it off. The anti-aliasing off. Depth of field, I turn it off because a lot of times that can, and I think I've talked to a couple people, and I know that was kind of the case for me too. Like if I played it, you have that on, and then it's the same thing with the motion blur. It'll start making you feel a little sick if that's something that affects you. You'll start to notice like, oh, I'm feeling kind of sick and drowsy here, and that's kind of what it was for me. So I stopped using it as much. I call it the Duke Nukem effect, because I remember when I played Duke Nukem as a kid, it was something that would kind of bother me a little bit. Weapon motion blur, same thing, like when you turn around really fast, motion blur, I don't need that. I don't need anything kind of stopping me from concentrating on taking out the enemy in front of me, so I turn that off. Shadow with map resolution, I have it on normal, and I don't think it really affects much. What is the cast spot shadows, I have it enabled. It's like just, I guess, a rendering speed for future frames. I mean, I don't think it affects it a little bit, but I just kept it on. Particle, I don't need it high, I turn it to low. Direct ray tracing, I don't have that access. I think it's like a card thing, and then I don't have that, so it's disabled. With ambient occlusion, I have it disabled, which is basically like adding soft shadows and intersecting and it creates depth. So I don't feel like I need that as much. And then also, what is the screen space reflection, I have that disabled as well. And or anything we did there. And as far as audio, I have it on midnight mode, which I guess that kind of changes depending on what you do, but I turn my master audio to 75. Like at 100 it was like way too loud, so there it is. And mainly because of the streaming situation, I don't turn on music on most games, because I started noticing that, you know, if you do that, then it's a no, you get flagged for copyright infringement, and we don't want that. So that's one of those things we kind of always turn off. Anybody who plays 2K and games like that know what I'm talking about. It's one of those things you want to avoid at all costs. Dialogue volume, I have it at 55. I want to be able to hear, it's kind of like that medium where you could hear the opposition coming at you, footsteps, people shooting at you, like the direction that it's coming from, and then actually being able to hear your teammates as they're talking to you in that situation. So that's one of the things that I kind of keep on. Effects volume, I have it at 97. Cinematic volume at 55. Juggernaut music is enabled, even though, I mean, a lot of time I don't think Juggernauts don't come out of the sky that often. I may turn it off, but I mean, it's not something that happens consistently enough for me to worry about it too much. My speaker and headphone volume is set on default, which is kind of hooked up and connected to my microphone, which we'll kind of get into in a second. Voice chat is enabled. I basically have everything going through my Elgato microphone, like as far as being able to communicate with my teammates. Set up to the default device, which is hooked up to the, I guess the wavelength, and we just do that. We don't do push to talk. It's open mic situations. You just make sure you optimize the settings so you can't hear a lot of ambient background noise. The one thing that I noticed when I started to stream and do things, I would set up my settings so they were running properly on my I guess my wavelength, and then when I would come and play the game, the settings would be different. So I would have it set up so the streamers can hear what I was saying, but you could hear a lot of ambient background noise when I would play the game with people. It's the audio, for some reason the audio was differently, it was coming through differently than it was on the two different softwares. So that's one thing you have to look out for. So this is something that you'll have to kind of check and then go through to make sure that the settings are set up correctly. That way you're not blowing your friends' eardrums out with loud noises. Microphone volume is at 100. I don't have any live effects. I think that's more so for changing your voice, kind of getting that robotic voice and stuff like that. Not really something that I ever used. Board tracks as a passenger, I'm never really in vehicles that much anyway, so I don't really know much about that. as I told you guys before, I use a controller. So as far as my settings on controller, I have things set up dead zone input 20 20 99. Horizontal and vertical sensitivity was the most important thing. 9 and 8 is just something that's comfortable to me, so that's what I go with. And then 0.91 aim assist standard. So what is it? Scale aim assist FOV. I have it that's enabled, disabled for the mount share endpoint, and then the weapon mount movement exit. One thing I need to change on here is, I was looking down, you have the aim down, sight behavior, steady aim behavior, and equipment behavior. All of those are on hold, where you hold them and then it kind of holds it. Use and reload behavior, tap to reload. So, and then depleted armor or depleted ammo weapon switch enabled. So like if your gun runs out of ammunition, it'll switch the gun and switch to your secondary weapon, which I just have that enabled. But the one thing I was looking at was this, because a couple of times I played my armor plate behavior, I want to switch it so it's on apply one instead of apply all, because typically I'll just hold triangle and then it'll kind of go through, and if I tap it, it'll go through and it'll put on all the armor plates. So if I need to put on 3, it'll put on 3, and it'll put on 3 no matter who's in front of me. So I've gotten killed a couple times just doing that. So I'm gonna put it on apply 1 and then see how that feels, and then kind of go from there. Fly behavior is on hold, like for hold and circle to do it. Tactical sprint, double tap. Button, auto movement forward disabled. Automatic sprint, I have that automatic sprint on. And with a vehicle recenter enable, and parachute auto deploy is enabled. I think that's pretty much it. Like as far as talking about like interface, all this is the subtitles, like around or square maps, depending on what your preference is. I usually use a circle. I thought about switching to a square just to see what it's like. I may do that now. And mini map rotation is enabled. You know, it's really just a lot of these things are just preference and what you think will help you out the most in the game. But man, that's pretty much it. A lot of times is if you don't have like the most stocked out system, then you just use what you have and go from there. So it's pretty much all there is, man. It's just figuring out what you need and then trying to use it, because this computer that I have is not the highest end computer, but it does the job and I'm able to do what I need to do with it, which is why I'm happy with it. And when it gets to the point to where it's time to upgrade, I'll upgrade, and then it'll be a good secondary. So I think I'm going to wrap this video up now, guys. So if you appreciate the content, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Happy gaming, happy streaming. Good night. Peace.